Hello, I'm Kevin Rafferty. I'm a technical consultant with Capito. Capito is a Pure Storage Silver Partner, and what we want to talk about today is the Pure Storage FlashArray, the performance we get from it, its architecture, and how that performance is affected by multiple component failures. So looking at the front view of the FlashArray, we have at the top two NVRAM modules. These are mirrored. In this particular model, the M20, we have two NVRAM modules installed. Below that we have the flash modules, and these are a single RAID group and they're configured with RAID 3D. There's no configuration required for this. It is done automatically when the array is brought online. We have two data packs that we can install in this array. The first 10 slots is data pack 1. Data pack 2 consumes the second 10 slots. Looking at the rear of the array, we have dual power supplies and dual controllers. Now, the power supplies are independent of the controllers, so we can have one fail and both controllers will still run normally and still deliver the same performance that they were prior to that. With the controllers, both are active. We have a primary and a secondary. Each controller has iSCSI ports, 10 gigabit Ethernet, and we have fibre channel ports as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the flash array that we've got in this room, and we're going to start pulling out components and look at how those component failures affect the performance. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at the storage array, and we've generated a workload on it, and you can see here we're generating about 75,000 IOPS. Latency is around about 0.06, 0.05 milliseconds, and we're going to simulate a hardware failure for multiple components. So the first component we're going to pull out is our NVRAM cache module, and we can have a look then at our performance stats and see what impact that has. So Duncan's going to do that right now. So what we'll see on the FlashArray management GUI is we can see here that the status is unrecognised. That's almost instant. That's gave us that alert. If we look back to our performance, there's been practically no impact to that. It's still generating the same amount of IOPS. Latency has stayed roughly the same, so things are looking good. So what we're going to do next is we're going to pull one of the flash modules and see how that impacts things. So Duncan, if you can do that. So we can see now that the NVRAM cache has gone to red, which tells us that it's no longer installed. The flash array that's just been pulled out has now gone red, also telling us that it's no longer installed. And looking back at our performance, our latency has not been impacted, and neither has the number of IOPS we're generating. So I think what we can do now is we can pull another flash module. Now it's worth noting that each of these flash modules has two SSDs installed, so when we pull this second one out, we're going to be removing 4 SSDs from the system. So Duncan, if you can pull the second flash module. So we should see now on our system health that the second module has been pulled out, and it should go red right now, and there it has. So looking at our analysis tab, our IOPS are still high. We're still into the 70,000 IOPS generated. Our latency is still really low. We're still around about 0.05 milliseconds. So things are still looking good, and I think one thing that proves is that losing NVRAM and two of the flash modules has zero impact on performance, and we're still able to generate the same amount of IOPS, and your workloads in this case would not be affected. So I think probably what would be a good thing to do now is if we pull one of the power supplies out, and we'll see if that has any impact on our performance as well. So Duncan, if you can pull one of the power supplies out. Now when this comes out, we may hear the fans increase a little to compensate, but we don't expect any impact to our performance. We should see the array management GUI showing us that one of the power supplies has been removed. Should show that now. Yeah, and there's one of them went red. So looking across at our performance, that's not changed at all. We're still generating the same workload. Latency is still the same. We're still able to deliver that high performance with multiple components failed. So I think probably the last thing we should show a failure of is one of the controllers. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull the active controller. So all workloads at the moment is going through the active one. By pulling that, we'll be able to see that it's an instantaneous failover to the secondary controller. So if you can, Duncan, go ahead and pull out the active controller. And now what we can see is on the system, I'll just log back in. Now because that was the active controller that's been pulled, we've been disconnected. Now the IP address we're connecting to is a VIP, so because the active one's been pulled, we have to reconnect to the controller. So we'll just log in again. And we should see on the system tab that one of our controllers is showing as failed. Now looking at our analysis tab, we can zoom right in to our 15 minutes view, and we can see here that we're still generating the same number of IOPS. What we'd expect to see here is a small gap as things flipped over, but the workload has not been interrupted. It's still getting generated in the background. But one thing to note here is that even though we've got an NVRAM cache module down, two flash modules down, power supply down, and one of the controllers, we are still able to generate the same performance and have no impact to any workloads that are running. One thing to note is while we've been pulling all these components out, the alerts have been going out. So I can feel my phone has been going while we've been doing that. So I've been getting alerts, emails saying that power supply has failed. We've got a drive failure in bay 7, we've got drive failures in bay 3. And it's also worth noting as well that all these alerts are also going to Pure Storage support. So if you were getting failures like this, you could expect a phone call from them to let you know that something catastrophic has happened. And also with the Pure One app, you will get these alerts on your own phone as well. So you can get into the app and have a look at what components have failed, and also see these on the Pure One website as well. So I think, in summary, what we've seen is that the Pure Storage FlashArray is a resilient platform. It still delivers the same level of performance with multiple component failures, and it protects your data. And the alerting system means that Pure Storage support is going to let you know of those failures if you're not in the office.